everyone, I'm Karen and welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a couple of weeks, but glad to be back and glad to see you here again. Today we are going to talk about The Left-Handed Booksellers of London by Garth Nix. Now first of all, I want to say a big thank you to Gollancz who sent me a copy of this book, which they shouldn't have, but I'm very happy that they did. Only last year I read Garth's other standalone book, which was Angel Mage, which was his very first adult fantasy novel, and I enjoyed it. However, this one I think will take the cake out of, you know, the books that I've read by him. Garth Nix, of course, you will probably know from the Sabriel series, which is fantastic. If you haven't read that yet, you definitely should. And I have read it, and I think I may have reviewed it or at least mentioned it in a wrap-up, so I'll link that video up here so you can find out more about it. This is his latest. It's only come out last month. It's nice to see him like work on standalones. I mean, it's by no means small, but it is lovely. So yeah, let's have a chat. The Left-Handed Booksellers of London is set in a slightly alternate London of the 1980s. So we were in early 1980, I think in 1983. And our main character, Susan Arkshaw, is just moved to London. She's going to attend art school, but she still has a couple of weeks, and in the meantime she wants to find her father, who she's never met. She's just turned 18, and so she goes to crime boss Frank Thringley, who's like a family friend. She hasn't met him a lot, but he sends her a birthday card every single year with a bit of money in it, and so he's the only lead she has. Her mother is very close-lipped about who her father is, so Susan sends out and wants to find him. However, on her first evening in London, Frank Thringley kind of gets vanquished by a left-handed bookseller named Merlin. More about Merlin later. So she kind of gets thrown into this world where the old world and reality collides. And it's basically about her journey to find her father and eventually, you know, gotta save the world at some point, don't we? Now, the aforementioned Left-Handed Booksellers of London, you know, as the title, together with their right-handed counterparts, they kind of police whatever paranormal activity happens between the old world and, you know, our reality. So the left-handed ones are the fighters, the warriors as such, and then the right-handed booksellers, they're more rational and they're more about research and, you know, behind the scenes. What I found really interesting is because this is set in like the early 80s, you've got all the 80s tech, so the microfiching, all of, you know, the research, all of the libraries, and there's something very charming about the setting. Now, Garth Nix visited London around that time. It was the first time that he was in the UK for an extended period of time, and I feel like you can really tell when you're reading this book. I absolutely adored the setting. I loved how he wrote about, you know, small things that, you know, are seemingly inconsequential but in the end do mean a lot. And I love how it's interwoven between mythology, paranormal creatures, and, you know, myths and legends of this country. So the left-handed bookseller that Susan meets on her very first night is called Merlin, and he has a right-handed sister called Vivian, and both of them are still trying to figure out what happened with their mother. So their mother was killed by what they suspect is like a very high-ranking old world creature, and so between Susan's quest for her father and, you know, the two siblings' quest for their mother, their paths kind of converge together. I loved the three of them together as characters. I feel like Susan is kind of the person that we would be. Through Susan we kind of get introduced to this world, to this setting, to all the creatures and characters, but I absolutely loved Merlin. Merlin was probably my favourite character out of all three of them, though I would probably be way more like Vivian than Merlin, but I really enjoyed reading about Merlin. He's a kind of character that is just so quirky, very much does not conform to gender norms, shows up in a dress and absolutely pulls it off one day, you know, and he's the kind of person that I kind of feel that a lot of us are like, I wish I could be that confident, even though he's not quite. But it was really, really wonderful, and there's nothing, you know, again, nothing was made of it. It was just the way it is. And I like his like daft sense of humor. That really amused me. So I think for me, it was a great story. I enjoyed the plot. There were a couple of plot twists, a couple of things that you kind of saw coming, but nothing like, I still think the way everything was resolved was really well done. But it's not gonna be like with a big plot twist that's gonna leave you like gasping for breath. But I found that quite nice because the tone of the book is quite charming rather than super tense action and that kind of thing. So for me, the way the reveals worked like that just worked really well with the characters, the plot line, and the setting. So I felt like as a whole everything worked really well together. And I just remember at the end of reading this, I finished reading this about 2 weeks ago, I was like, I don't really know what to say about it, because it was one of those books that I absolutely loved, but it was really hard for me to like express why. And I know that the characters and the storyline and all of that, but I just think it was the overall feel of the book that really did it for me. Because, you know, I'm a late 80s baby, so some of the things I know, but other things, you know, I'm very much of a internet generation person. So there was something really fun about, you know, well, no, they don't have mobile phones. They don't have a mini computer just in their pocket, you know? So there was a lot more challenges, but in a way, the way that the characters kind of dealt with that was also just part of the fun of the book for me. So I find it really fun, I find it really witty, I find it really charming, and I think it was just a great book to just escape in for a little bit. Because it was such a great mixture between history and fantasy. It made me think of, I don't know if any of you watch Doctor Who, but one of the very first, I think it was like the second episode or something of Doctor Who when Matt Smith's tenure came around. You know, it's like in a quaint English village, and it's full of character, and you're kind of in there disturbing the peace, and that's what this book felt like. So we go from London up to the Peak District, back to quite close to London, like the outskirts of London, and it just felt very, very British, you know. And I know Garth is Australian, but he has spent time here in the UK, and I really feel that that kind of came through, and it's the kind of Britain that I think I would like to live in, you know. And so that was really a fun thing to escape into. So there you have it. That is my quick review of The Left-Handed Booksellers of London by Garth Nix. I very much recommend it. If you have read any of Garth's previous books and enjoyed them, I think you really would. If you're looking for charming, witty, alternate reality 1983 with three main characters that just kind of form a really fun bond, lots of weird, otherworldly creatures, but again, it was scary but not terrifying in a fun, you know, witty way, then this book is for you. So there you have it. That's it for today. Do let me know down below in the comments if you've read The Left-Handed Booksellers of London, or if you've read any of Garth's other books. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to all of you very soon. Bye.